But before we begin, I want to take just a moment to extend the condolences of this committee regarding the very tragic events in Japan. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Japanese people in the wake of the worst earthquake in a century, which has stolen the lives of thousands and badly damaged the nation's infrastructure, including some nuclear facilities. There will be no doubt a desire to question what the events in Japan mean for our nation's pursuit of safe, clean nuclear energy, and we will have those conversations in due time. For today, our concern is squarely with the Japanese people and providing whatever assistance that we can to them in this time of tragedy. We do have committee business to attend to, and I will begin with remarks on H.R. 910 and H.J.Res 37. We're here today to commence consideration of two bills that, while addressing significantly different topics, together exemplify a major reason we were sent here by the voters. With these bills, we are putting the brakes on runaway federal government. There's an old adage that says when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Today, America finds itself in an economic hole dug deeper and deeper amid excessive federal spending and costly regulations. If we allow the EPA to ignore the will of Congress and move forward with its global warming regulatory agenda, I believe that the economic hole will only crater further. The Energy Tax Prevention Act is a bill that to stop the digging and prevent further economic harm in the government's hands. Gasoline prices are rapidly heading towards $4 a gallon, levels that were last seen in the summer of 2008. By all accounts, we were headed toward this new price before unrest in Libya and other Middle Eastern countries. A host of regulations, including mountains of federal restrictions on domestic oil drilling and refining, make a bad situation worse by increasing our dependence on imports. Make no mistake, if we allow the EPA to move forward unchecked, its actions will only drive gasoline and other energy prices even higher. Part of EPA's agenda is its proposal to regulate carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions from domestic refiners. These newest GHG regs will apply to both new and existing refineries. At hearings on this bill, EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson was remarkably hazy on what requirements she planned to impose in the final version of the rule. But to suggest that such a policy will not raise the cost of refining oil into gasoline and ultimately at the pump is flat out wrong. We have held a number of hearings on this legislation, and we've heard from a number of job-creating sectors, including domestic refiners. Steve Cummings, Vice President of Lyons Oil Company in Arkansas, echoed concerns raised by other refineries when he said EPA's proposal is already chilling planned expansion projects and that H.R. 10 is also necessary to protect consumers, farmers, and truckers from higher gasoline and diesel prices. We released the bill in discussion draft form back in early February and welcomed all constructive comments. Through that open process, we made several changes and clarifications that improve the bill. Unfortunately, not everyone has been focused on the facts, and from the moment we put forward the proposal, it has been surrounded with misinformation. In one glaring example, critics slammed the bill repealing the new automobile and light truck efficiency standards scheduled to take effect for model years 2012 to 2016. Yet anyone who bothered to read the bill carefully and narrowly crafted at a length of just 9 pages can see that these fuel economy standards are explicitly kept in place. For 2017 and beyond, the bill returns regulation of motor vehicle fuel economy where it has stood since the 70s, with NHTSA, which balances fuel economy with other factors including vehicle cost and safety. Our goal is to give clear responsibility to a single agency, something that President Obama recommended in his State of the Union address. There are a host of reasons to support H.R. 910, but let me put it simply. The bill says stop to an EPA attempting to impose policies that we cannot afford, that will destroy jobs that we cannot afford to lose. By passing the bill, we can put Congress back in charge of setting the energy and environmental policies that will allow our nation to create jobs, bring down prices at the pump, and make America more secure and energy independent. Just as we must stop the EPA from pursuing its runaway regulatory agenda, we must also put a check on the FCC, which is similarly attempting to commander our Internet in unprecedented new regulations. For that reason, I urge my colleagues to support H.J.Res 37, nullifying the FCC rules regulating the Internet. We have an open and thriving Internet today thanks to our historical hands-off approach. And as I said last week, if it ain't broke, don't break it. The Clean Air Conference rejected the Senate language. Oh, let me conclude by saying this. As I look to my years in the Congress, serving on this powerful committee under Chairman Dingell, Bliley, Tozan, Barton, and Waxman, I wouldn't change my committee assignments for any other. The Energy and Commerce Committee has a long tradition of being the very best at confronting the issues of the day and crafting decent legislation impacting every American family and business. Without these two pieces of legislation that we're marking up beginning today, H.R. 910 and H.J.Res 37, we are ceding authority to unelected bureaucrats that will make the decisions rather than us. The Clean Air Conference rejected the Senate language, which would have added greenhouse gases to the Clean Air Act. So Congress did speak. It said no, and here we are today trying to stop the EPA from overruling what the Congress said some 20 years ago. Even some of the leading opponents of H.R. 910 are still suggesting that they could support a 2 to 5 year moratorium as an alternative. That reasoning says that we're not ready for the regs now and the job losses and the energy price increases that surely will follow. Each of us were elected to make tough decisions and be accountable. Passing the buck and blaming an agency for harm that will be coming our way is the easy way out. It is not responsible, nor is it accountable. I would urge all of my colleagues on both sides to support both pieces of legislation.